Here on our farm in western Colorado, I've been thinking about polar bears lately. It turns out, as the way I see it, polar bears and I have quite a bit in common. We both depend on a good, solid, dependable, substantial winter. The polar bears need the winter so that the sea ice will freeze and they can get out and capture their main prey, which is seals. I need a good winter with lots of snowfall so that I have water to irrigate in my fields here. So for both in the Arctic and here in western Colorado, the winters are not as dependable as they used to be. We're seeing that more and more often we have a winter that is not very substantial, and that's a problem for both the polar bears and for me. If you study the field of ecology and study ecology textbooks, sooner or later you're going to read in that textbook that organisms or populations of organisms, when they're faced with change, they have three options. They can adapt, they can move, or they can die. So I'm going to leave it to the polar bears to consider their three options, and I'm going to consider my options here. And I'm going to start in reverse order. Let's start with die. Now, die is not a very good option in my opinion, and I'm talking about the farm dying, not me dying. But I am not ready to give up on farming. I'd like to keep going. There are farms dying around here for a variety of reasons, including less water available to irrigate. And when they die, they normally get converted to houses. But that's not an option here on our farm because our farm's in conservation easement and there won't be any houses built on this land even if we quit farming. So let's keep on farming. Now, how about move? Move is an option. My great-grandfather moved here 125 years ago for some reason. Maybe he was facing change. And that gives me the permission to move also. I think about moving sometimes, but I don't like the idea very well. My roots run deep here, and I've spent quite a bit of time and energy on improving this land, as every generation does on a family farm, improving the irrigation season. And so I think I'm going to go with the adapt option. Hello, my name is Paul, and this is a series called The Long Green Line, a series about adaptation, invention, and growing plants. So what I need to do is I need to up my game on how I use the water that I have, especially in years like this one when I don't have very much water. I normally irrigate with gated pipe, and in a later session we're going to talk more about irrigation and techniques and irrigation theory. But you can see this gated pipe has openings in it, and I can let the water out of the openings, and you see these ditches on each other side of me. I call them furrows. The water runs out of the gated pipe into the furrows and down through the field, and it actually works pretty slick, works well if you've got plenty of water, and if you don't mind losing a little bit of your water off the end of the field, or maybe the upper end, the water soaks down so far that the plants can't use it while we're waiting for the water to get to the lower end. But there's a lot of advantages to furrow irrigation with gated pipe, and we'll talk about them in another session. Now, this is drip line. Do you see those rows of tape on either side of me, drip tape? This is a very precise, very efficient way of irrigating. What you do is you lay these lines of tape on the field, maybe 30 inches apart or 20 inches apart, and then you put water into the drip tape, and there are little holes, we call them emitters, every so often, and the water comes out drip by drip, drop by drop, and the water is very efficiently used for irrigation, very little bit of it wasted. You get just the right amount to the plants the whole length of the field. You don't lose any off the end of the field. And if you do it correctly, you're not losing any to water soaking down too deep. But being a thrifty guy that I am, I rather hate to just take up all my gated pipe and switch to a drip tape invention, especially in there will be good years when there's plenty of water, and then it's to my advantage to use my gated pipe. So what I need is an adapter of some kind that I can put this drip tape into the gated pipe. Actually, what it boils down to, I need to put a round peg into a square hole. No problem, we got this. Let's stand up a program to invent an adapter. So here's what let's do. Let's go to the Delta Conservation District in Delta, Colorado. Let's ask them to be our sponsor. Then let's go to the Colorado Ag Water Alliance and ask them for money, for funding. And then let's put together a team. On your team, you should have an engineer type that will help you learn think about design specifications and how to organize your project. You should have a starry-eyed inventor that just won't quit, that believes it's going to work next time, this time it's going to work, this time it's going to work. And don't forget your modeler. You need a good three-dimensional modeler who can make these designs on computer and then send them to a 3D printer and print out your new adapter. So just for fun, let's set up this team, and then let's do, I don't know, 30, maybe 40 trials and changes and iterations that none of them worked. And let's just do this for a couple years, and then finally, one day, you're going to say, and we're going to say, and we are saying, we got it. We got an adapter that works. Now, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's good enough to do trials. And so we're going to do some field trials with our adapter to show what we've done, to test it out under field conditions all summer long. We're going to do some irrigating with drip irrigation. But if we're going to do some irrigating, we might as well grow something. Let's grow some vegetables. Let's plant a vegetable garden. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The vegetable garden with the drip tape. This drip tape is 2.5 feet apart, and I had some people that thought maybe I was just inventing a toy, so I said I'll show them. So I put drip tape from the top of this field to the bottom. There's 1,000 foot of drip tape here, each line 1,000 feet long. So I have a garden that's 2.5 feet wide and 1,000 feet long. That must be some kind of record, and I call it the long green line. So let's go plant some seeds. So in this garden, the anchor of this garden is going to be the Three Sisters, the traditional plants of the desert Southwest. You've got corn, beans, and squash. And except I'm going to plant popcorn and some nice white beans that I like to eat. And then my squash is actually going to be pumpkins. I found some pumpkins that are good for making soup and eating. And also, interestingly, their seeds are naked. They have no hole on them. So as soon as I finish eating my soup, I'm just going to take the seeds and roast them and put them in my granola. That's cool. But here at the end of the long green line, we're going to have the greatest pressure from the wildlife, from the deer and raccoons and maybe the turkeys and I don't know what else. And so I'm going to plant okra. Nothing likes okra. Nothing eats okra, including most human beings. I like okra. I enjoy a good okra soup, and I don't mind the slime. So let's plant some okra. So you notice that I have not tilled the ground. That's because I follow the principles of soil health, and one of the principles is to not disturb the soil any more than absolutely necessary. That means that your soil microorganisms, your whole biome in the soil, microbiome, can stay intact and operational, and that's an advantage to you as you're growing your plants. I did spray this. I'm not a real fan of chemicals, and I'm trying to learn how to farm without many chemicals, but this field here has a lot of bindweed. That's the main plant you see in here, plus some triticale, which I raised as a cash crop last year and has come back as a volunteer. So I went ahead and sprayed this crop a few days ago, and it's dead. It just doesn't realize it yet, but it'll be turning more and more yellow as the time goes on. It's a contact spray, no residual that I used. I used glyphosate. One of the trade names is Roundup, and so I can go ahead and plant now. So let's get some seeds in the ground. So I'm going to use this little tool. A little tool that I have. I'm going to use it to scratch a hole in the ground, and I'll put my seed in. I'm going to space this okra fairly far apart, because when you have 1,000 feet of garden, it's not like you have lacking space. I've got plenty of space. I'll let my plants spread out. You'll find that okra, as we go through the summers, you watch it grow, it will kind of branch out sometimes and form almost a bush. So I'll go ahead and put my seed in and cover it up nicely. The ground's pretty dry, but we've got a solution for that. And there you have it, rinse and repeat. So that's how it goes. We're going to go ahead and plant at least part of this garden today, and then we're going to turn some water in and get the seeds wet and ready to grow. So we'll see you in a little while after we've got done some planting, and we'll put some water in the tape. Okay, there you have it, friends and YouTube followers. We've got water dripping out of drip tape connected to a gated pipe 1,000 feet from here. This is so cool. I mean, all things are acting normal according to specifications of the design standards. Well, that's it for today. We'll see you next time on the Long Green Line.